So, Panchakarma. Panchakarma? What? What are you talking about? Sorry, that was embarrassing. Panchakarma means 5 pancha karma actions. And in Ayurveda, it is the most profound procedure that you can undergo to help actually reverse disease process and definitely to prevent any disease. It's an incredible way to bring the body back into balance and remove armor at a deep level. So it basically follows the same principle that we just talked about in the cleanse, an Ayurvedic seasonal cleanse, but it's much longer and it's much deeper, and it's overseen by an Ayurvedic doctor. And every single person's Panchakarma will be completely different based on their constitution, their imbalances, their strength, what disease they may or may not have, so on and so forth, where they live, the climate they live in, etc. So, 5 actions. What does that mean, and what is the process of Panchakarma? Basically, it involves the same things that we talked about in the seasonal cleanse. So what we want to be doing is removing armor and imbalanced doshas from deep in the tissues, bringing them back to the digestive tract, and then eliminating them from the body in the easiest way possible. So the first part of Panchakarma is oleation and steam. And that involves lots and lots and lots of oil application. The oil application, again, will depend on your situation. When I did Panchakarma, I just had massage every day for a week. So first of all, Panchakarma usually goes for a minimum of 3 weeks, preferably, for each stage of the process. You have the preparation, then you have the elimination, and then you have the rejuvenation. That's kind of an easy way to think about it. So the first week we're talking lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of oil. You might have massages, you might have Shirodhara, which is oil being poured on the head. You might have Dhara massages, which is just oil being poured all over the body. You might have some Pindaswade massage as well, which is that little pillow massage that we talked about in the last video. And all of that will help to dislodge the armor and the imbalanced doshas that are stuck in the areas of weakness in the tissues and loosen it up. And then we have, every time you have a massage, you'll have a steam, which will dilate the channels and the tissues and channels of the body, and again I sort of open everything up to help the armor and the imbalanced doshas be dislodged and start to move back to the digestive tract. Throughout this process, you have to be resting. You're effectively, it's like you're in hospital and you're very ill. You have to stay in bed. We were allowed to go for 2 very gentle walks throughout the day, 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. We had to stay completely covered in blankets to make sure that we didn't aggravate our vata. And then throughout the day, we weren't allowed to sleep, we weren't allowed to do yoga, we were allowed to meditate, we were allowed to do very light reading, but we weren't allowed to watch anything. Basically, there's like 0 stimulation, to the point where even the rooms that you stay in are very starkly decorated, so there's no stimulation even from pictures on the wall. It's like total vata lockdown to help your vata move in the right direction from the external parts of your body back to the digestive tract. If you have too much stimulation, you can be dislodging everything, but if the vata is moving in the wrong direction, it's not going to bring it back to the digestive tract to have it eliminated. So it's incredibly important to be very quiet, very still, very rested, and very not stimulated. So you have to take 3 weeks off. You're usually an inpatient in basically a hospital or resort type thing. You have a very strict diet of very light food. You may also in that first week be consuming ghee. It might be medicated, it might not be, but consumption of ghee also helps to create that incredible oleation, the oily lubrication of the body, and to massively pacify vata. So in the next stage of the process, once the doctor determines that the imbalanced dosas and the armour have come back into the digestive tract, then it's time to eliminate them. Now, Vata, Pitta and Kapha each have a different seat in the body, so whether it's a Vata aggravation, a Pitta aggravation or a Kapha aggravation will determine which of the 5 actions is going to be used to eliminate those excessive dosas. So if you have aggravated Vata, which most people do, the seat of Vata is in the colon. The seat of Pitta is in the duodenum or small intestine, and the seat of Kapha is in the stomach. So if you have a Kapha situation, then the easiest way, because it's in the stomach, the easiest way to eliminate things from the stomach is to induce vomiting. Sounds terrible, but it makes so much sense that that would be how you eliminate excess Kapha and the armour that comes back with it. If you have excess Pitta, which is in the small intestine, which when you think about it, that's where the bile is, which is a very Pitta product, then you will take natural herbal laxatives to induce a day of diarrhea, basically, of pooing to eliminate the excess Pitta. Again, sounds disgusting, but it makes so much sense. It's using the body's natural processes to eliminate excess dosas and excess armour. If you have a Vata aggravation, then they will eliminate it because it's in the colon. The easiest way to eliminate it is by using enemas. And in between the enemas, they'll have a lubricating enema to make sure the colon remains lubricated and warm and oily, because when you remove stuff from the colon, you're basically leaving space. And if you had a drying enema that was all salty, then it's going to create dryness in the colon, which is the house or the seat of Vata, and it's going to aggravate Vata. So the most important thing when doing enemas is to maintain the pacification of Vata, particularly when you're doing Panchakarma. So you'll have a oleation enema one day, and then you might have a big cleansing enema the next day. Then you'll have an oily enema the next day, then you might have another cleansing enema the next day. When I went to do Panchakarma, I was a bit nervous about the whole enema thing because I'd never had an enema, and I was like, that sounds kind of gross and super weird. But it was really weird. I actually didn't mind them at all, and actually kind of loved the cleansing enemas. They were awesome because you felt so cleansed and so clean after them. It was amazing. And I actually had them every day for 2 weeks. So throughout the oleation process, I was having enemas as well. So I knew that by week 2 that my colon was completely cleaned out. And it was week 2 I started to see almost like thick ropes of mucus coming out of my body. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh my god, what is this? Sorry if this is too disgusting, but I just have to share it because it's totally amazing. And I suddenly realized that that was armor, like old ancient armor that had been in my body. It had accumulated over 32 years. I did it when I was 32, and it must have been armor because it couldn't have been anything else. I was barely eating anything, and I've already had a week and a half of enemas that had completely cleaned out my gastrointestinal tract. So this must have been the armor that had come from my peripheries and come back to my digestive tract that was being eliminated by that stage of the process. It was amazing when I realized that. If you have a Pitta aggravation, particularly in terms of skin diseases or that sort of thing, one of the other actions can be bloodletting, which can help to purify the blood. Again, sounds full on and terrible, but it can be as simple as just giving blood. The third stage of the process, once you've eliminated your excess armor and your excess dosas, is rejuvenation. So this whole process is quite full on for the body. So, and you'll feel quite weak by the second week because you've gone through a lot, eliminating all of that stuff and having it like literally sucked out of your tissues and channels and brought back to the digestive fire and eliminated. That's like removing a large lots of stuff in your body that wasn't there before. So you'll lose a lot of weight. And the third week of the process is rejuvenation. So in this part of the process, I continue to have enemas every week, and also massages, sorry, not every week, every day, and rejuvenative medicines as well. The enemas, they almost look like pink cappuccinos. They were quite milky, had lots of ghee in them, lots of other yummy herbs, and they were quite small. So when they were inserted, they would leave them there for some time. You wouldn't be passing them straight away. You'd be absorbing things through the colon. And the great thing about that is, once you've done Panchakarma and your Agni is really, really, it's in a very vulnerable state, you can't nourish yourself as well through your digestive tract as you can through your colon, which is incredibly, it's a site of absorption. That's what it does. That's its job. So you can administer slightly heavier, more difficult to digest rejuvenative medicines through the colon than you could through the mouth, if that makes sense. So there's medicines being directly absorbed through the colon. There's milk, there's ghee. It's directly absorbing and building up the tissues and building up the strength and building up the ojas without it having to tax the Agni. You're also starting to eat slightly heavier foods by the third week and starting to build up your Agni again. After Panchakarma, you're given very specific recommendations to have a very particular diet, continue to have very particular medicines, and also to rest and rejuvenate for twice the time that you spent doing the Panchakarma. So if you did Panchakarma for 3 weeks, you need to rest and rejuvenate once you get home for another 6 weeks, preferably not working, preferably not doing too much. You need time to build up your strength again, because it is quite a full-on process. So when would you do Panchakarma, if this sounds interesting to you in any way, which might not? You would do it if you are suffering from an intense imbalance, if you're suffering from a disease, if you're suffering from something that is really aggravating to your life. If you have the benefit of having some money and having some time, then personally I would love to be able to do Panchakarma every 5 to 7 years, just to reverse any disease process that is developing in my body, to help me live long and well, and that would be amazing. For me personally, when I did Panchakarma, it was post motorcycle accident. I was very underweight. I wasn't really absorbing my food very well. I had energy problems, and mainly I had headaches, just headaches all the time, and dizziness. And the Panchakarma cured my headaches, it improved my digestion, and I was able to absorb food and gain weight again for the first time in a few years. So I would, I highly, highly recommend it as a procedure. It is very full on. I wouldn't do it until you are immersed in the Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle principles in your daily life already. A lot of people who know nothing about Ayurveda go off and do it, and they come back and they can't follow the recommendations, and it probably does more harm than good. You need to know how to live in an Ayurvedic way, how to have an Ayurvedic lifestyle, how to prepare these foods, and then it's a wonderful thing to do. Thanks for listening, guys.